As I've gone through my collection each day and watered it, I have tried to pull out the orchids that need to be repot. And I've created a little section on my table of the orchids that need to be repot. And today in that area I have, I guess, 5 plants. And sometimes they sit here for weeks. Like this right here, this is a Richard Mueller cross. It sat here a really long time and it's just not doing well in this pot that it originally came in. I'd left it in it, but you can just see by all the stuff that's dead on it that it's just not very happy. Would like to transfer it to semi-hydro, and actually this has been sitting here probably like almost since the beginning of the summer, like 2 months. And then I have things like my Encyclia vitellina right here, which is also needs to be repot. You can see it's also not doing well in what it's in. I'm probably going to pot this into moss. This Cattleya aurantiaca right here just really needs a new pot because you can really see that it's not really in its pot anymore. As is this Cattleya Fort Mott, also just sort of needs to be, well, I don't know, I probably could just divide this and just take off the new leads. And I guess I could do that also for the Aurantiaca. So sometimes things sit here a really long time because I'm still trying to decide what I want to do with them. And sometimes things need to be repot because, like this one, all right, this finished blooming. This is my Cattleya Thai hummingbird, hugs and kisses, XOXO. And you can see it's coming out, but you can see like the plastic cup that it came in from the grower is just all beaten up and it doesn't stand upright. So it just has, well, right now it is, but from the bark over there, it has a tendency to fall over. So I'd like to repot this one so that it would stay upright. So this is what is in my repotting area today. Okay, the first thing I'm gonna repot today is my Encyclia vitellina, which looks really unhappy, desiccated in this bark and perlite mix right here. Looks very, very dry, and I'm going to put it into sphagnum moss in hopes of making it less dry and more happy. So here we go. Oh. Oh, it looks so dry. Look at this. All the roots are really thin. None of them are green. I don't see any live green tip. Oh, and it's even split itself here. Like actually 2 pieces now. Not even attached here in the middle. So it'll have to be 2 divisions. So I don't know if they'll make it because it's so dry looking. This part's dead. Compost. Like, oh, jeez. Oh, and when I like touch the pieces, they're like crispy. All right, need some moss. Okay, so yes, I'm gonna put them both into moss because it looks awful, just awful. This piece looks better. I was originally gonna put it into this pot, but now this seems a little too big. I mean, perlite and bark like that is really going to be very, very fast draining. So I'm basically converting it from a fast draining mix to a very much more moist mix. But I mean, if you look at the pseudobulbs here, they're very, very dry looking. Gonna wrap it in some long grain New Zealand sphagnum moss. So this is the first piece. I'm just gonna stick it in here. That's my, I guess, division now. God, it looks horrible. It looks so sad. I hope it survives. I didn't realize how bad it'd gotten. All right, second piece. Oh, I probably don't have enough moss here. There we got moss. Moss, 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 moss. All right, let's wrap. I like to wrap around and then tuck in the pot. So there we go. At least this one has a new growth, even though it looks really dry. I'm making like a little ball of moss around my roots. Yeah, this looks slightly over pot now. Not sure if that's a good thing. I'm very loosely packing my sphagnum in here, so hopefully it will not suffocate the roots, though who knows if the roots are even alive, given how desiccated this whole thing looks. But here we go. All right, this right here is a Laelia amoena var cerulean that I got from Susan, many years ago. It's part of one of those big boxes that she sent me. And normally it blooms a little bit better. It's I think either the Japanese beetles have been out and they've eaten it, or it suffered damage during the derecho that came by. But the leaves look like they've been mauled just a little bit. But it's a very beautiful cerulean, and it's either a primary hybrid or a species. For the Cattleya Fort Mott, I am actually just going to take this lead off and put it into semi-hydro, and I'm going to use an X-Acto blade, which I have already heat sterilized on the stove to do it. To cut anyways. You can use a clean razor blade as well, but oh, the rhizomes are so thick on this that I like to use an X-Acto knife so I can get more leverage for the me trying to peel the little root off. Probably should soak it. The roots are attached to the outside. Let's see, it's still attached right there. And here we go. So now I have this piece. I'm gonna let it air cure a bit. Then I have this piece, which is still in the pot, which maybe will put out a new lead, we'll see. Though Okay, so I would like to put it in semi-hydro, but I have a suspicion that if I do that, I will kill it. Okay, so I went and looked it up. So it's actually, this is Mott Spot. It's from Santa Barbara Orchid Estate. And when Santa Barbara sent it in, if you can see in there at all, in marble chips, which is basically an inorganic, really well draining media. And this is the bifoliate. And so I looked up, so Mott Spot has Fort Mott as a parent, and it is 37% Aclandier. And I will say that bifoliates with Aclandier in it, I have never done well with them in semi-hydro. So even though would like to put this in semi-hydro, I'm thinking perhaps the better part of valor would be to basically mount it instead, because all my mounts that have Aclandier have been doing really well. So let me think about that for a few minutes before I decide if I'm going to mount it or if I'm going to put it into semi-hydro. All right, so I did decide that I would mount it because I want it to live, and I'm scared that if I don't mount it, it will die. Only issue is that it's going to be fairly large, and I don't have a lot of small pieces of cork left. So we'll have to see if I can get to grow on this piece, which is actually quite large. Let's see, turn it so you can see how I'm tying this right here. So yes, it is quite big. The ones that I have seen, I mean, they're technically, I guess, windowsill growers, but I've seen them, I mean, I feel like, you know, it's larger than Aclandier, even though it has a lot of the growth influence from Aclandier. And then once I get this going on this, I guess once it establishes, I can take all the fishing line off. But getting it to establish will be the trick, since apparently it just wants to stick its roots everywhere in the air rather than, say, which is why I think it doesn't do well in semi-hydro. I think it's just too much. The roots are just not exposed enough. So unless you get to establish, then you let it just kind of grow out of the pot like it was doing from the marble chips, then it just doesn't do very well. So here we go. All right. And there it is. I don't want to wrap fishing line all the way around, so I just wrapped it like right here. If you can, it's hard to see. And I have a tag for it that I've made up, which I have to decide whether I want to stick it in where it can fall out, or if I want to, there's just a little bit of moss for moisture on this. Or if I want to basically melt a hole into the bottom and then stick it on the end of the hook right here. That's probably what I am going to do. Okay, so it's high time I repotted my Encyclivola Girac Canary Yellow Star, which is Encyclia Phoenicia by Richard Mueller. It's from RF Orchids. And it seems to be wired into this pot. So first things first is I'm going to try to unwire it. I can't just pull it out even though it's floppy loose. But it is not growing well in this pot. I don't know why, but it's just like rotting. There we go. So a lot of the professional growers love to put styrofoam at the bottom, and that just does not work for me. It seems like everything I've ever owned that has styrofoam at the bottom rots and dies. And I don't know why that is, because I think it's for drainage, but mostly I just get rotten death. It's cute, I guess, and it's inorganic and doesn't rot, but literally stuff just never grows well in it. So this has got like coconut husk and some leca mixed in. I guess I can clean this and reuse it. But I am gonna try to put this into semi-hydro. But see, like, look at this. This is like all rotted out. I'm gonna try to pick that stuff off. Ew. It's like crispy. That's how dead it is. Oh. All right, I'm gonna wash this with the hose before I actually try to put it into semi-hydro. I love repotting outside. And then I can just wash stuff with the hose. I like being able to power spray dirt off. Most of this stuff looks pretty dead. All right. Clean it up a little bit. And then I can put it into a pot with semi-hydro in it. So look at all this new growth that died. Look at this. It's like dead there. Totally not. No growth right there. Ugh. Just bits of dead pseudobulb, all brown, papery, dried out. And really, like, no roots. I don't know. Seems to really take after the dosa in it. It'd probably be better to mount this. But we'll try it in semi-hydro. Nats also has a Girac Canary. It's a different cultivar than this one, a different Mariclone. So I guess I could get that one instead if I kill this. Though that would require me to actually go to Nats. All right, so here we go. It's actually got one little piece of leca left from its original pot I just didn't remove. I usually don't remove all the dead roots, even if they are dead, because if you do, it becomes almost impossible to keep the orchid inside the semi-hydro pot. So just for practical reasons, I usually leave some of the roots so that I can do stuff like just basically brace it into the semi-hydro. Even though I don't think they'll do anything, they're just really there to act like roots, basically, to help hold the orchid in the pot. So here we go. So this way, we'll just press down on the roots and then it'll stay in. So that's grody and dirty now. I want to put that in. So there we go, and I just have to take the tag off the pot here and put it in there now that it's been repot. I didn't realize the pot was covering the video, so I just took the tag off. There we go. All right, we're now to the Cattleya aurantiaca. And the hardest thing about this one is I'm gonna take it completely out of the container. I'm not gonna take a division off, but is that I have to decide whether I'm gonna try to put it back into a container the same size as it's currently in, because as you can see, the plant is only on one side right here, or if I am going to try to put it in a bigger container. My choices are this, which would work, and then way bigger here, like that, so twice as big. This is 128 ounces in back here, and then the other one was 64 ounces. So it'll be fun to try to get all this out and then decide. Clear out some of this like weed flower. And also, I'm not going to save this container because it's like breaking apart. All right, the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna like water this a bit so that the roots are gonna be more flexible. Of course, it's gonna make my entire work area wet, but hopefully this will make it easier to get the roots off the outside of the container. But this container is kind of getting old. The edges are cracking, as you can see right here. So I'm not gonna reuse it. I just got to get the orchid off of it. And that's usually helped by, well, if it didn't grow through the holes. Yes, making everything wet. This table's not waterproof, so now I have water on my legs. Things falling over now. Oh, the problem right here is, I don't know if you can see it, but it's grown back into one of the water holes right here. So I'm gonna have to, oh, there it came out, yay! Here it comes. Or not. Still peeling roots off. So the roots have just basically attached themselves to the pot. That's why I try to get it wet. Sometimes I forget to get it wet, and then I basically end up shredding all the roots. So yeah, so see on this side, it is not in semi-hydro because there's nothing alive there. I could reuse this, or I could wash it. I could take off the old deads. Well, not dead. They're still alive because see, they're flexible, and they're not. No, I'm sorry. They're flexible, and they're still colored, right? They're still green, but there's no leaves on them anymore. And as you can also see, there's like no roots on them. So it's not a huge loss to take them off. And perhaps just keep the bits that have good active roots. All right, so I want to do this without, so normally I would just try to break it off. Let's see how that works. Okay, there's one. So this is just compost now. Still roots here. And one more. I'll keep one of the old pseudobulbs because it's got a bunch of roots on it. Okay, so that's all. So that's still, see, most of the good roots are on this one right here. And so I'm going to keep that. And I've got a lot of weed roots attached to things. All right, so I am going to once again use my hose and give this a good rinsing. All right, so I've rinsed. And you can see the roots look cleaner. They still got a bunch of like weed roots all over them that I'm trying to pick off. And I mean, I don't know if I get everything off, but you know, it gets a lot, not all of it, because you can see there's still algae right there, but it gets a bunch of the algae off. And so, you know, everything just, it's a little bit of a fresh start with this repot. And I've kept some of the semi-hydro roots, so it's not going to be a complete start over loss. And you can see, like, it's the healthy roots have basically really attached themselves to the leca. They're not letting go. So I'm just trying to clean off some of the mast. It's like cleaning off bark that's going. Mostly because this stuff right here is not actually orchid roots, it's from those weeds. And you can tell that, like, if the bit's not healthy that's attached, it just falls right off. See, like that. I don't have to tug, not breaking anything. I'm being very gentle. All right, so I think actually and I managed to do it and keep the new growth on. I'm so pleased, knock on wood, because probably now I will break it. I'm gonna stick it in another 64-ounce deli container. I've already put holes in. If I can get it in. Trying to get everything to fit in the pot. Fit in the pot. Oh, it all fits. Awesome. All right. So I don't want to use this old stuff that's all dirty. I'm going to get new leca that I have cleaned. Well, it's not new. I mean, I've used it previously, but it's cleaned leca. And I'm going to put it in this pot. All right, here we go. Gotta keep it braced along the edge right here. mostly in, just putting a few more pieces of leca in. I'm going to squeeze the pot a little bit, trying to get it all down in there. I want to go settle. Water it again so that we may get more of the leca to go down to the bottom. Go, settle. There we go. Oops, it's starting to come out a little bit. Don't want that to happen. Top off a little bit more. And there we go. Still draining. All right, this last one that's in my potting area that needs to be done is Cattleya Thai Rose by Richard Mueller, which now has the name Thai Hummingbird XOXO. And this one really needs to be repotted because when it came, it was in this plastic cup that was broken. And so it has a tendency basically to fall over just like that. So I'd like to stick it into semi-hydro, and then I'll have two, one in bark and one in semi-hydro, and I can compare how they grow. Except of course, see, this one's hard because like the pot isn't, it's broken, but it's not really like coming off. I can't quite, like, I'm gonna have to get some scissors. Okay, scissors. I have a feeling this one's gonna suffer a lot of damage as it comes out because of, or maybe like slippers. Oh my god, because it's just, plastic cups are very sturdy. They're just, this one's just done. There we go. And see, so here's the problem with this one, is that it's grown fairly well in this mix, and as you can see as I do this, the mix is not coming loose. We got a little bit of rock of some kind here. So yeah, this one's like too happy in its mix. I think I am going to have to be super brave with this one and probably just try, well, I can't even take off just the new growth because this stuff has, I'd like to just take off the new growth like right here, but parts of that new growth are in the mix. So I can't do that. I can't just take off the new growth right here. That's what I really like to do. Oh dear, what to do? I guess I can try to spray off some of this bark. It's just growing too well. So this is like one that would do really, so what happens with a lot of these is when I repot them, I try to pick off as much of the bark as possible, but basically a lot of the bark ends up going in with the semi-hydro because I don't like to damage the roots a lot by picking off all the bark. I just try to pick off the stuff that's kind of loose, and it usually decomposes, and it means I have to repot sooner rather than later because the roots won't do so well when it's mixed together. So let's me go wash. So I really like these 7 setting nozzles on your hose that just let you change the pressure level. Not a lot of loose stuff on this, not very much stuff coming off. Try the jet. Yeah, not much stuff came off. So yes, I could repot this in bark. Let's clean it up a little bit while I have it out. Or I could put it into semi-hydro and let this stuff rot out, which is what I'm leaning toward doing. I successfully do this. It just means like the stuff that's in the bark that gets mixed with semi-hydro ends up getting too moist over time, and then eventually it does rot. So it's not like it's not a good long-term solution. So there we go. Just trying to get a little bit more of the bark off. Finger poking, finger poking. Yeah, not a lot of stuff to take out of this because it's all just packed in there. But because I got it wet, you know, some of the stuff is now looser. I can kind of reach into the interstices here and try to pick out some with my fingers. But I don't want to spend too long doing this. So here we go. It's gonna go into one of these 32-ounce deli containers. We'll see how well it does. Like this. I mean, this is exactly the right size. So it sits all the way down right here, and I'll just and now because it's got that core right there that I didn't clean out and I didn't cut off, it's really hard to get the pellets down into it, which is one of the reasons why stuff just decomposes faster this way. It just doesn't really hold. But the new roots will get to grow into pellets, and it sort of works. But it's like, that's why I bleach all my pellets after when I'm reusing them, is when I do stuff like this. Oh, when bark decomposes into leca, it's just, I don't know, it just becomes dirt. It becomes dirt and leca. It's kind of ooky. Just squeezing it down. We'll put a little bit more in there. But mostly this is just going to sit upright a little bit better than it did before. It's not really a full repot just because I don't want to spend too much time killing roots here. And it'll do okay probably for a year or two, but then that bark core is just really going to suffocate everything. So that's it for all my repotting. And now my repotting area is clear.